Okay, so in this segment, we're going to be talking about Jacob Rees-Mogg just blaming the French for Brexit problems again, and he gets called out on it by Nick Ferrari, who actually does an okay job here, but he doesn't follow up. Essentially, it feels like he just admires his work, which you can't do.
Years. This is you and I speaking in June 2018 when I asked whether there might be queues at Dover.
There'll be no need for checks at Dover, but it will be an ability to ensure that the roads keep running around Dover, even if there are delays at Calais. The delays will not be at Dover, they will be at Calais.
The delays will not...
So I'm assuming maybe he's talking about goods, or if he's talking about people. I mean, there aren't any delays at Calais, as far as I'm aware. Maybe it's because mostly holidaymakers are leaving the UK to go to France, or via France to wherever they're going, rather than coming to England to go on holiday. But again, it's just the answer he gives it is ridiculous.
Not be at Dover. You'll be aware 2 weeks ago it was actually declared a critical incident. Some people spent 12 hours in their cars, lorry drivers passed out, and children defecated in the lay-by.
And let's not forget, the situation with pedestrians, kind of people in non-HGV vehicles, it's very situational. So it happened a couple of times in the year, but the situation with lorry drivers is that happens to them pretty much all year round. There are endless queues there, purely because of Brexit. You got the GVMS system, the checks that have to happen on heavy goods vehicles, customs, all of that stuff. So it's just ridiculous for him to try and blame the French here when we've seen queues that have been consistently long in multiple cases, multiple times in the year. They blamed P&O for it last time, they blamed the weather, etc., but it's happening again.
Response to what you said some years ago, Mr. Rees-Mogg?
Well, the response is that the delays are caused by the French.
But you said there'd be no delays at Dover.
Yes.
He said there'd be no check, so why are the French checking the stuff going from Dover then? Does it make sense?
Yeah, but they are French-created delays.
What?
But they are at Dover, Mr. Rees-Mogg. Are you prepared to apologise that you got that wrong?
Yes, of course I got that wrong, but I got it wrong for the right reason, if I may put it that way.
Do expand.
The point I was making was that the only delays would be caused by the French if they decided not to allow British people to pass through freely.
Why would they do that, though? They never have allowed British people to pass through freely. There were checks on passports. Sometimes they wave people through, when it was very busy, but they can't do that because we're a third country now. You're only allowed to stay in the EU 90 days out of a 180-day period. They can't wave people through freely. They're meant to check if you have accommodation and a return ticket as well, which I don't know if they're doing in Dover, but what I do know is the times that they are checking passports isn't that much longer than what it was before. It's just the sheer volume. Once you add that many vehicles onto a queue, you add 30 seconds to a minute onto passport checks, the queues are going to climb up. The point he makes here are ridiculous. Why would they give us free access to France? Freedom of movement's gone. We're not in Schengen. That's the key here. We're not in Schengen. If we're in Schengen, then fine. He'd have a logical argument, but we're not. So it doesn't make any sense.
Have decided to do that. They failed to get people to turn up.
As far as I'm aware, that's not actually true. I heard some of the booths were closed because of accidents that happened on the M20, but I've also heard that COVID is also a massive problem in France. That could be one of the reasons why maybe people haven't turned up to work, but they haven't actually proved that booths were closed for the most part. They haven't actually said what the issues were. These are things that I've read from other people, but I can't verify them. That's the problem.
And that is what caused the delays in Dover, because we have juxtaposed border controls, which means that we check people in Calais and the French check people in Dover.
Very well done.
And actually, that means that if the French don't operate their system properly, we get the delays.
So what do you mean not operating their systems properly? They're doing a decent job. It's just the fact that the sheer volume of people, that's the issue.
It's why I was saying that British people might think that going to Portugal is more fun because the Portuguese want us to go and the French are being very difficult.
The French aren't being very difficult, though, because there aren't any e-gates at Dover Port. It's up to countries if they want to allow us to use the e-gates or not. It's up to individual states. Yes, Portugal have said we can use the e-gates because they have electronic stamps. Makes things a lot easier. But that's up to Portugal's discretion. Once we did Brexit, we gave away sovereignty to all of these individual states who can decide how they want to police their own borders. Also, going to Portugal, typically you're going to fly to Portugal. Have you seen what the situation with the airport's done? It's not very good. Let me put it that way.
And why should we go and spend our hard-earned money in France if the French don't want us?
They're not against us. It's just these are the rules that France has for third countries. Same with Spain. You have to have a certain amount of money to spend. etc. You know, it's not they don't want us. You know, this kind of negative attitude of anything that, you know, once we're victim to third country rules because we decided to be a third country, you know, it's, oh, we're being victimized. Oh, how dare you, you know, the poor British. It doesn't make any sense. I thought we're a powerful sovereign country with lots of money. You know, at the end of the day, third country rules are third country rules. Some have exceptions. I think for America, they have exceptions in certain cases. But for the most part, if you're a third country, you're a third country.
Suggesting we boycott one of our closest European neighbours, Mr. Rees-Mogg.
I'm not suggesting a boycott. I'm just suggesting that Portugal has made e-gates available to British tourists, and that there's something to be said for supporting people who support you.
I mean, it's not about supporting people who support you, though, is it? I mean, let's be honest now. You know, even if there were e-gates, if France allowed us to use the e-gates, that wouldn't resolve the issue in Dover because there aren't e-gates there. There aren't gates there. Not really. There are booths that check passports. How would you even have an e-gate system in Dover? Come on, bro. Like this guy here is just, you know, it's funny. It's funny, you know, to Nick Ferrari, and it's funny to you know, Rees-Mogg here, but this is just so silly. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.